Hello and welcome to the space that gives you inspiration on work, on life, and how to balance both worlds. I hope you have your cup of coffee, tea, or a glass of juice, or whatever rocks your boat, and you have a notebook and a pen because things are gonna get serious. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you know every time a video goes up. Now, it's May. I call this the month of mothers, the month of motherhood. And I feel that Mother's Day is one of the most important days of, I guess not just my life, but of many people's lives because of the importance that our moms are to us, okay? And I wanted to share with you, as we get ready to celebrate this month of motherhood, kind of like my story, my mom story. And at the end of the day, at the end of the video, I'll tell you why I'm sharing this story. So for those of you who want to know my full-on story, you can watch Crystal One-on-One. It has lots of tears and lots of laughter. I'll leave the link in the description box below. But I want to kind of talk a bit about my mom. And my mom came onto the public scene, I think, when she broke the record and was my my maid of honor. Yeah, she was my matron. And many people were like, how? Why? And my history with my mom is so, I feel like our history has lots of sweet moments, and then we really did have a dark patch, a really dark patch that I think I shared when I was sharing about the boys I love. That time when she was really strict on me, we had a really dark patch for maybe about 4 years. But the rest of our lives, she has really been an anchor. So just to backtrack a bit, my mom lived in a polygamous marriage where she hoped that she would be able to raise me and all of my brothers and sisters together. And for those of you that have either been raised in a polygamous home or are currently doing so, you know how difficult that is. And not everybody has the same pain threshold. And so she actually left that home and left with me and 2 of my brothers. One that follows me, that's right behind the screen, and another one that's right after him. And so my mom walked away from the marriage, and there was just us and her. And I remember, for those of you that will watch the full story from Crystal One-on-One, we used to sleep on one mattress. Rinal, did you remember that? We used to all sleep on one mattress. And my mom, she really, one of the things, and I really hadn't planned to talk about this, but one of the things that I learned about my mom during that time is that even in the depth of her poverty, she really saved so much so she could get the best of what she would have. So you know how usually a family will have only one mattress, and then after some time it gets spoiled. Rinaldi, isn't that mattress still there? Or she took it to the village? That mattress where we used to, and it's still really strong over 20 years later, right? It's really, really, so she would save a lot of money. She sold off all of our mattresses, put the money together, got a bigger amount of money, and then got a really big 6x6 huge mattress that we could all sleep on. Not a bed. She didn't purchase a bed. It wasn't about a bed. It was just about a mattress. And so she would put us on that mattress. Then when she's buying bed sheets, she would go and buy real good cotton so that it could last for years. And I absolutely respect that about my mom. But anyway, that's not the story that I was telling. But you can see the kind of woman that she was and how she inspired me a lot, okay? But also in that time, our relationship grew very, very strong. Now, at the point when she's leaving my dad, I remember at that time I was just getting saved, and I had just given I'd given my life to Christ maybe at about 6 years of age, not maybe at actually 6 years of age. I gave my life to Christ at 6 years, and at about 8, 9, how old was I? That was how old Larry was. At what age did they leave each other? Anyway, I remember I was in like P6. Yeah. 1997, 1998. Maybe I was just about to start P7. Yeah, P6, P7. So she left the marriage at that point, and and she wasn't saved before then, but then she got saved, and something happened to our relationship at that point. We got really, really close, and I think because now my dad wasn't there and I was there, my two brothers were there, of me being the older one, she told me a lot. Not about my dad, which I absolutely respect about her and I love about her. She told me about what she personally was going through. So she allowed me to see her tears. She allowed me to see her pain. She allowed me to understand what was going on. Like if she went to an uncle or an auntie and asked for something and they couldn't give us, and she would come back like heartbroken, or she would come back home and she has her legs have blisters because she walked all the way. She would tell me some of those things. My brothers were too young. They were really having a blast then. They were, no? She told him? No? So he says he wasn't too young. No. So clearly, I guess my mom had relationships with each of us that made us each feel like we're so important, right? So at about that time, so she's telling me a lot about what she's going through, and so I feel like at now that my brother is saying that even he had first-hand information, but I felt like I had certain first-hand information about what she was going through, and she could easily share with me what was going on in her life. Now, one of the things that she shared with me was her journey as a career woman versus being a businesswoman, right? So as a career, before she had been now what we call an executive assistant. I'll not call her a secretary, but she was a secretary. No, she was an executive assistant, and in that role she did extremely well. But unfortunately, she got an accident that affected her finger, which she was using to do a lot of the typing, and she actually had to leave that job. So when she leaves that job is when she then separates with my dad, and so now she has to start her entrepreneurial journey. And so I'm witnessing what's going on, right? And I'm watching her firsthand, like I'm seeing, like she would come home, count money before me, say, put away some money, put away some money for fees, put away, like she would show me like her envelopes on how she was dealing with money and finances in our, now what have I said, Rinaldi? I said, yeah, okay. So my brother has reliably informed me that I should say us, because even him, he knows that you know what, even after all these years, you know, like after all these years, see what I'm finding out about my mom. Like, imagine, like, I didn't know. I'm telling you guys, I thought that she was just telling me, and my brother is like, no, she told each of us. And Mom, you're just the best ever. But anyway, so clearly she told us, and she would show us how the money was being distributed, or however little the money was, and then she would explain why she's going to have to work, why we're going to have to work, why we can't take juice, why we're going to do this, why she was, anyway. So she leaves the home. I remember that in that time as a Christian, one of the things that what was happening to me also at that point was that I was just finishing P7. And then, you know, usually in Sunday school, when you leave P7, you're now supposed to go to like youth, like to the youth side or whatever. I couldn't get myself to, like I went to the first time and I just couldn't get myself to. I kept coming back to the babies section. Now, I had no idea why that was happening, but it was happening. And every time we would go to church, I would attend church in the morning and then go and work with the children right after to do Sunday school with the children. So I was always working with children. Anyway, fast forward, I finish school, I start work. Next week I'll share a bit more about the work that I was doing. But then, while I'm starting work, I have my first child. Now, when I have my first child, something hits me like a ton of bricks. So I've had this child. There are certain experiences that I'm going through at work with my child. And if I'm to get in just a bit deep into that, I was doing marketing in a financial institution. And in that financial institution, I remember we had such a big, huge project. I'll never forget it. We were trying to get 1 million subscribers into the bank. And as you know, at that point, I was, running the marketing department, and they'd asked me to write a strategy. And I wrote this strategy, and I just had my second child. I just had Bianca. And I remember that when I was doing my marketing presentation, I remember it was such a big, huge meeting. I did a marketing presentation. It was such a powerful strategy. And when I did that presentation, some memories just jogged out of me at that time. Such deep memories, okay? And I want to share them with you. One, before that presentation, I didn't have a lot of milk for either of my children. So before that presentation, I'd needed to express a little milk. It was so little. I needed to express my milk, and I couldn't. And I didn't have my daughter with me. And so I expressed into the sink. It reminded me that jogged the memory of the fact that 2 years before, I had been looking for a place where my son could be, my firstborn, could be while I was away at work pursuing this career. And I hadn't found any. And one of the places that I thought should be able to do that is a workplace. Because if I'm doing such a good job, shouldn't my workplace facilitate the fact that I'm having a baby? And yes, roll your eyes all you want. But the truth is, my children are not mine. They're for this country. They're for this world. They're for companies and businesses that will exist either right now or in the future. They're not. You don't keep children. They are not tables or chairs. They are for the world. They are not our children. So yes, I really do think that there is a need for our companies and our organizations to help us care for the children that we are giving birth to for our country and for our world, especially since it affects our performance at work. So that memory got jogged. And I remembered how my mom, in sharing with us everything that she was going through, I could see how our existence was affecting her. Like, I can imagine that. I do keep imagining, what if my mom didn't have us? Like, where would she be? Like, have you ever thought about that? Like, if your mom didn't have you, like for many of us, our moms would have remarried. Our moms would have married other men. Our moms would be working, I don't know where. Our moms would be out of this country. If you ask yourself, where would my mom? In fact, if you asked your mom, where would you be if I didn't exist? For some of us, painfully so, our moms would be alive if we weren't there. You know what I mean? For some of us, our moms died giving birth to us. So there's such a huge price that moms pay. A huge price. And I remember after I'd done that presentation, the strong emotions of those memories came charging at me. I had started the Cradle 2 years before while I was looking for a place for my son. But at that point, when I made that presentation, remembered that I had expressed milk into a sink, remembered I had started a place for moms to put their babies, remembered the price my mom had to pay. I had to start the Cradle. I had to leave the bank completely, not double, what do they call it? Yeah, I couldn't do a double thing with my work and also the Cradle. I decided to leave the boardroom and enter the childcare room, that moms like me and you can pursue their career and still raise the world's human capital. That's why I do what I do. And that's why we created the Cradle. Now that is the reason God created me. Do you remember the scripture, Romans 8:28? All things work together for the good of those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. The reason I've told you this entire story is so you can see my all things work together for good to those that love the Lord and that are called according to his purpose. Everything in my life had to happen the way it did so that I could pursue my purpose here on earth. And every day I wake up to do exactly that. So today I want to tell you that all things have worked together for your good. You who is called according to his purpose. So you need to find that purpose that you have been called to, for which all things have worked for your good, and walk in that purpose. Now, if you want to join a group of people that are walking in their purpose, the Purpose Circuit is here for you. I'll leave a link in the description box just for you to get access to. But also, if you're a mom, or if you are an HR, or if you are an employer, for whatever budget you have, we can set up a childcare or a lactation center at your workplace. Please call the numbers of the Cradle and get access to a childcare center for your employees or for you as an employee, that you can have that time to reach your own full potential and live your full purpose. Okay? Now, there's those of you whose purpose is kind of in line with mine, and you've been challenged to be in the child care sector. I'm doing something called the Childcare Business Course. For anyone that is doing business in the childcare industry, this is the course for you. I'll also leave a link in the description box below. Now, this thing called purpose, do you see how deep it is? How deep it is? Allows you to live your full potential and live the life that God wants you to live. Okay, until next time, I can't wait to see you. Bye-bye. Mwah.